Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the MLS Now podcast. I'm not going to call this preseason previews anymore because the season is well and truly here, but we'll call it early season previews. So, here to be our official guinea pig for the early season previews, backed by much popular demand. You demanded it. I certainly demanded it. I made it as hard as possible for her to ignore me. You can find Maddy right here on social media and Maddy, I will never get your social media handle correct. Can you tell people where to find you on social media?
Yes, it's Maddy here. My Twitter, and yeah, mainly just Twitter actually. Handle is Maddy Kraus, MADDYYKRAUSS.
You are very welcome to be on the podcast, but Maddy, I gotta say the Twitter handle I think might be the hardest one out of everyone in the entire MLS Now community because like I always get tripped up by which letters are double and which ones aren't. And I say that as someone with two S's and two L's in my name, so like I'm not immune to this.
You should be on top of it.
I should be on top of it, but I'm not. So look, I struggle with my own name apparently. So, anyways, Maddy, we're here today to talk Minnesota United. Whew. So a lot went on over the offseason. We're sitting here post match day one as well. So would you like to give an initial reaction to match day one, or do you want to just talk about the offseason and we'll pretend that match day one never happened?
I can talk a little bit about match day one. I was unfortunately working, so I wasn't able to watch any of the game, which is unfortunate, and I'll be a lot more locked in after next week when I'm actually at the home opener. But a 1-0 scoreline against a team that's like always has top odds to win the league, and again this year looks like they're going to be up there in the top. Like that's a good result for me. A tie would have been better, and that goal came like super late, like 87th minute or something. So that part like really hurts to like hold them, hold our own for that whole game and then let one in right at the end there is unfortunate. But I heard we had like a lot of shots on goal. A few balls like off the posts, and like we looked good as a team, I guess, which I wasn't totally expecting. I saw a tweet from like Taylor Twellman, even praising the team, which is like really not expected. Minnesota is usually not the team being talked about by any big MLS stars or writers or whatever. So his tweet said something along the lines of like, we have a lot of potential this season. So I'm excited to be at the home opener and like actually see what this team is about.
Did you see that the first 10,000 fans in the door get a hat from Minnesota?
I did see that. It's going to be really cold. It's like warm today and yesterday, and even the sun was out. And then of course by Saturday it's going to be 30 degrees again. So I'm not really looking forward to that, but I am very excited to be back in that stadium.
Yeah, I empathize with you because apparently we had the coldest home match in FC Cincinnati history as our home opener this past weekend. So we didn't
Wow.
get any hats at all. So you've got the leg up on us. Your team apparently plans it out a little bit better. They know the cold weather's coming.
Oh yeah.
So I'm going to segue us, right? We talked about a good and especially a pretty good defensive performance nonetheless from Minnesota. And I want to talk about maybe just off season, like what was done over the offseason to get Minnesota into this position, because I'll put my hand up and say I was a little bit lower on Minnesota going into the season. So I was like, how well is Minnesota really going to do? And then they looked a lot better over this first match than certainly I was expecting, and I'm assuming some others as well. So maybe just briefly, like what are your impact moves there that you think really helped, or maybe there's something that hurt you over the off season as well?
Yeah, we made a handful of moves, I guess. The people we got rid of weren't really anybody that we cared about in a meaningful way. And we picked up a handful of people that I hope will do good things, but something that struck me was we didn't start, like our starting lineup included all people from last season, except, well, yeah, all people from last season. The only like one little difference was Morris Duggan at center back, who was on the second team primarily last year and played with the first team like a couple times. So I was pretty surprised to see him in the starting lineup, but like happy for him. He's a young guy. But like none of our other new people were in there, so I don't know if that's like they're still easing into the team or if there's any injuries. Like I didn't have a chance to, look really deeply into that. But like we signed a DP too, and I was kind of like excited to see a DP in the midfield, but we didn't start him. So that was interesting, but I guess like good that with our same people from last year, we performed really well. I think our back line is going to be interesting. There were so many rotations on the back line last year. Like we couldn't quite find the starting four that we wanted there. And then there were injuries. And so I'd like to find a consistent 4 or 5 in the back, whatever we choose to do, and stick with them. We have, I feel like, a lot of defenders on our team, and yet our defense was kind of like iffy last year. So I think we really need to find like what guys work well together. I just saw today too that Rosales is now out for weeks, whatever that means. So that's really unfortunate because he's actually like one of our best players. And so now like that's another replacement on the back line that we'll have to do by Saturday.
I feel like at least the one nice like silver lining here is if you guys held LAFC to a 1-0 score line with essentially none of your new ads and especially not any sort of designated player midfielder who, I mean, you can say like, hey, if you have a better attack or if you have like a stickier midfield, like either way, chances become fewer for LAFC. Like, imagine what it looks like if that person does play. So,
Yeah.
going forward, like it again, silver lining there. We're manifesting positivity right now.
Right. Yeah, I think we have only up from here. I'm excited to see our new guys, especially that DP. But we got plenty of new people, so I'm curious to see how they all fit in, and I just hope we can find a starting lineup that's that we can stick to consistently, like pretty early on, because that was one of the things last year too. We had like a new lineup every week, which was good and bad, but I think the more consistency we have, the better chance we have of actually performing well on a week to week basis.
Agree. I'm interested to see how it pans out. What I want to throw your way real quick here, just in terms of like near term expectations, because as you mentioned, there's been some new players that haven't fully integrated yet. Over your next 5 matches that I'm looking out, you have home against Montreal, away to San Jose, away to Kansas City, home against LA Galaxy, and then home against Salt Lake, and all of that in the month of March. What's I guess like scale of 0 to 15? What would be your expectation for points from that run of matches?
Um, Man, I feel like we should be getting like 3 of those games sounded like teams that we should be able to beat theoretically. So I'd say like maybe in the 12-point range, maybe like 10 to 12. Galaxy will be tough. They always are, even when they're not at their best. Like it's one of the teams that we struggle against. But like Montreal, we should be able to beat. RSL, we should be able to beat. San Jose, theoretically, we should be able to beat, but I'm not sure. I think they had a good week. So now I'm like, was that just a fluke? Or are they going to be different this year? It's hard to bet on them being any good this year because like they haven't been good since like I started watching MLS. But I don't know, maybe they will be good. So I'm gonna say like 10 to 12.
Yeah, I think I'd probably sit right there with you as well. I'm thinking like probably 10 points sounds about right. I actually think San Jose is going to be a pretty tough out this year for a lot of teams. Like Bruce Arena is one of those coaches where it's just like he's been around forever and he doesn't always play like the
Mhm.
most glamorous style, but like teams show up for him,
Oh yeah,
which
he knows
is
what he's doing.
yeah, it's really annoying when you're playing against them because you're just like on paper we should win this, and then it's just like they get in your head and they just like you're just like why are we losing to San Jose? But
Right. Yeah, that will be interesting to see.
yeah, but I agree with you. Like Montreal, you guys should absolutely like slide past them easily. Kansas City, Real Salt Lake, like none of those 3 teams scare me for you guys. So like
Yeah. Yeah.
I would almost I hesitate to say it, but I feel like if it's less than 9, I would start to panic. I'd be like, "Oh, Maddie, what happened?"
Yeah. Yeah, I agree with that.
What so what do you think the casual fan is saying right now though? Like, is the optimism just as high for them? Or are they looking at it like we lost the first match, the season's done, we're out of it, we're gonna go 0-34, like call it like, or people, again, they're writing it off and saying, yep, tough team. We have some pretty favorable matches coming up. Like, what's the pulse of the fans saying?
Yeah, I think a lot of fans have fairly good optimism in the team. A lot of people like close to me are kind of not so high on the team. And I'm like not quite sold on them yet this year. After last season, we started out the year like really hot randomly, which was really unexpected, but then we couldn't hold on to that. And we kind of made like little spurts towards the end of the season, but nothing like really sustainable. And so I felt like last year was just kind of like meh, not our best work. And then I was hoping we would do some, I don't know, crazy moves in the off season. And like we made a handful of moves, but I was kind of looking for a within the league move. I would have liked to get like a player that's been in the league and like has proved themselves in MLS specifically, because I feel like we always trade from abroad and half of those are just complete like fails. So I was really hoping we'd get like, which we did. We did get Kip Keller, but he's not, he's not somebody crazy. So I was really
Well,
hoping we'd get someone. I was hoping
I,
we'd get someone from within the league instead of just going international. So I hope that these internationals that we did get actually like prove themselves. Maybe they'll all be amazing, but like we do not have a good track record with our international players. And we have a horrible track record with our designated players too, which is even worse. So, yeah, a little disappointed about that, but like I need to see these guys all play before I can kind of make a judgment of like, okay, are we going to be a good team this year? Or are we going to be another like meh team?
I dig that. I love you saying that Kip Keller's not a crazy player because sometimes I think like you'll see him just go all the way up the field and I'll be like, what are you doing, you madman? Like your spot's back there.
Yeah.
But okay, and then just other follow-up question, right? Like US Open Cup, Leagues Cup, MLS. You guys are playing on all three. Where's your focus? Like, let's say that that Ramsey's coming to you and he's like, Maddie, I'm struggling here because I'm not familiar with this league. Like, what do you specifically care about? How should I prioritize? Where do we direct our efforts this season? Like, what's your rating on those?
Yeah, I think all our like all of our efforts should be directed towards the regular season. And I feel like Eric Ramsey's kind of the coach that's like here for the league, wants to win the championship, like other stuff doesn't really matter. So that's how I'd like it to be. Like prioritize the actual in-season stuff, but don't like totally just put in all your like third strings in the other tournaments. Like I want to see like an effort in the tourneys. But I don't want to like waste the team's energy or have injuries and stuff come out of that because um like I'd much rather just do terrible in both those tourneys and like go far in the actual season.
If someone said to you, you can either win US Open Cup or make it to the finals of MLS Cup, but like no guarantees on winning, but like you could make it there for sure. Which one would you pick?
Make the MLS finals.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, because
Respectable. Very
yeah,
respectable.
definitely.
I think I would just from a pure nostalgia standpoint take the US Open Cup, but that might stem more from the fact that FC Cincinnati has their popularity and like how they got to MLS stems so heavily from US Open
Oh,
Cup.
yeah.
But I like there was no hesitation. I love that. I absolutely love that. It's
No,
just
no
like, no,
hesitation.
finals. Give it to me, inject it into my veins.
Yes.
Okay, okay. All right. Well, like let's go with that then. Let's say that Minnesota United is making this really deep run. Like you're waking up, you're breathing in the cold December air in Minnesota, and you're just like, Ooh, it's gonna be 14 degrees today. We're hosting the MLS Cup Finals because we did it. We made it all that whole long way. When you look back at the season, what would be some of the things that really have to hit? And normally I would limit people to like three, but I mean, if there's more or if there's fewer, like feel free to throw as many out there as you'd like.
Yeah, I think one of the things which I mentioned earlier is that we need to have a consistent back line. Um, Especially just like, are we doing a three back with the, two wing backs, or are we doing a four back, regular old, four? I think we need to stick to one or the other and not like switch it up all the time. Um, and ideally find like four consistent guys who can play really well on defense. We used to have like a super good defense like 2 seasons ago. And then last year kind of just fell off, and I'm not really sure why, because it's not like that much changed on defense. And like we still have Boxel back there, which I hope he continues to hold his ground. So I don't know. I think we just need to find four that are going to be really solid, and then, protect our net. And then on the flip side, I think we need to find somebody else besides Yeboah that we can rely on and on a week-to-week basis to either score goals or assist, like help create the goals. So whether that be Tanny, if we continue playing the two striker format, which I really like, or like Bongi, or someone from the midfield, even like Lude, who should be starting, or this new DP maybe. We need to find somebody besides Yeboah, because while he can score like every game, probably, he can't be the only one that we rely on. It's not sustainable. And even if we just have someone that puts up like really good assist numbers or something, like we need somebody else to produce in the attack. It cannot just be him.
That's a good shout. I'm thinking back to like FC Cincinnati's probably best chance at winning MLS Cup came when they had Vasquez and Brenner up front. Like
Mm,
regular season, both those put in like 18 goals
yeah,
each, and then you had Acosta behind them, and it's like that was the most successful attack Cincinnati has ever had.
right.
And I think you're probably on to something in that sense, because how many teams make it really far that have just one goal scorer? Like Christian Benteke won Golden Boot last year, and DC United I don't think qualified for playoffs.
Yeah, no. Yeah, and it's like you look at the best teams and they have like three, Miami has like three. Columbus last year had the iconic trio that's now completely gone and separated. Like LAFC has like at least three. So all the top, and Galaxy as well. They had, Joveljic, Paintsil, like I don't know, so many people. So like
Yeah.
all the best teams have more than just one person. So we really need to find someone, and like ideally one other person, not just like, oh, sometimes this guy's good, sometimes this guy's good. Like every week we want I want somebody else with Yeboah to be like producing or creating things in the attack.
Yeah. I enjoy watching Vancouver, but like I also get frustrated with them because it's like you have Ryan Gauld, and then it's like your other person who's supposed to score is Brian White, and it's just
Mhm.
like the man will put in 5 goals in 4 matches, and then he'll go 2 months without even so much as an assist, and I'll be like,
Right.
how do you do this? Like, what? Why?
Yeah.
Who's that person? Like, because I remember Bongi was all over the place. Like, even looking in the group chat, like last year, I swear I
Mhm.
would see you like putting into the group chat like something about Bongi, like scoring or like having an incredible moment or something. And like, is is that the de facto number two? It's like Yaboa, Bongi, everyone else, or like, is there even just like a big gap? Would you say between Yaboa and then everyone else?
Yeah, I think Yeboah seems to be the most consistent. Although honestly, I think Bongi's pretty close. Um, but I feel like he was kind of kicking in more in the second half of the season and not so much the first. So hopefully, and I don't know how he did this weekend because I couldn't watch the game. So like I don't know if he did anything. Um,
Well, I
but
can
I
tell you
think
the
that
score line, right?
yeah, yeah. So I don't know. I think it should be Bongi or Lude, honestly. In Lude's like prime, he was like not only scoring goals, but his passes are like insane. Like nobody can pass like him on the team. So he can put up assist numbers or like assists to the assists. Like his passing is just really good. But he can score as well. I don't even know what's going on. So like if we're not going to play him, he's obviously not going to be the second man. Um, but I think Bongi could be. Although I'm not sure Bongi like does as much creating as he does scoring. He can put balls in from outside. Like he's playing that wing spot. So he can definitely serve balls into the box, but I don't remember him particularly like creating assists as much as just scoring. So I don't know.
I feel like you guys probably need a second wing then. Like if Bongi's playing out wide, I in my mind I would think, well, you would probably want at least another person on the flip side of the field and someone in the middle to act as either your target person or your outlet. If both
Right,
wings charge into the box, then you have that like top of the box striker who can distribute one way or the other, or, take a shot
right.
if the two guys have made some space. But yeah, I struggle to think of like who the third option would even be.
Yeah.
Doesn't it,
I
it,
would like Tanny to kind of be that guy, but I'm not sure that he can get there this season. Maybe I don't know. He I don't know. I mean last year was like his breakout year, so there was a lot of ups but a lot of downs. And then he wasn't even getting consistent playing time either, and then he had that injury, and so it's like last year you can't really judge him off last year, but when he had his ups, he looked like he had a lot of bright side to him. Um and I'm hoping that he can like pick up from where he left off last year and kind of keep building because he's a very dynamic player. Um and if he can like get his flaws sorted out, I think he could be really really strong in our attack as well.
I'm trying to look at your stats from last year just to like get some sort of so interestingly, like right now, Bongi is actually your club leader for so many stats
Oh,
on
really?
like active players. Like for active players, he has the most goals, he has the most shots on target,
Mm-hmm.
um, at least for 2024. And it's like, hmm,
Yeah,
very interesting.
he was doing a lot for us, um, in terms of shooting, scoring. But again, I don't remember him doing a lot on the assist side of things. So if he could add that to his game, he would like really be a threat.
Yeah. But I guess, do you expect to see him take a step forward? Like who's, because, Tanny is like obviously the breakout player from last year, right? Like you would
Yeah.
hope that they take a step forward, but like who else who else needs to have that big development? Which the terrible side to that being like if they're too good, it's going to go the route of Columbus, and then end of the
Yeah.
season's going to roll around and away they go.
Yeah, I know. I'm hoping we don't lose Yaboa, honestly. But I don't know. I think somebody I'd like to see take a step forward is Songbin, actually. He was so good in like the first few months that we had him. Or just like the first season in general, he was quite good. But then I don't know what happened. He just like fell off, and then now he doesn't even play a lot. Like he doesn't really start games. I think he may have started a few last year. Like our lineup was changing all the time, so everybody started. um, but like now, I don't know what we're looking at for him. We don't have a consistent formation, so I don't know how much or if at all he's going to get a chance to start or play a lot of minutes. But if he could get back into playing consistently, even just like coming in for 20, 25 minutes every game and could take another step forward in his game, I think he'd be another one of those players who can really impact us in the offense because he had really good balls in from the wing. He scored now and then, but his balls in the box were really good. He's extremely fast, so he can play down the wing, down the sideline like really well. Um, and like he did have a lot of potential, and we kind of, I don't know, put him to the wayside. So it would be nice if he could get a foot back in the door with us.
Yeah, I looked just because you were talking about Lude and how
Mm.
like no one else on your team can really compare to him, and The answer is yes, 100% right, because nobody else on the team is even close to Lude in terms of assists. Like,
Mm-hmm.
it's Maddie, I am staggered.
Yeah.
Like, Longwane is like 4 assists, Yoboa 2 assists, Tani's 5 assists, Sangbin 1 assist, Dotson 2 assists. Like,
Yeah.
Rosales is the only person who got even close, and even he was still like half the number of assists as Lude. Like,
Yeah.
holy moly, you really weren't kidding.
No, like he's the only person who comes to mind when you think of like who's going to make assists on this team. And then he wasn't even starting in the first match. So maybe there was an injury thing or like I don't know. I didn't read into it. So honestly, I don't know. But he did come off the bench, so I don't know. I don't know what was happening, and I hope he gets back into the starting lineup because he is the only person who can reliably create assists at this point in time.
Yeah. Is that just Eric Ramsey's style? Like, because I remember Eric Ramsey was the set piece coach for Manchester United before he came over,
Oh,
and
uh-huh.
so I always think of like Ramsey as being like a set piece specialist.
Uh-huh.
Like, does that still seem consistent from what you've seen at least?
In terms of like him being involved with set pieces for us.
In terms of like where Minnesota looks the most dangerous.
Oh, that's a good question. Um, I don't think we looked that particularly dangerous on set pieces. I'm not gonna lie to you. I'm trying to think back. I feel like we just screwed up all our corners. Um, but last season like feels so long ago. Like I can't remember the details, but I just don't have a good memory of us doing well on set pieces, which is actually really surprising considering. Um, I don't know. That's a really good question. I need to like ponder next time when I actually watch the games this season to see like where is he putting all the marbles? Because honestly, I don't know. I can't answer that question right now.
Yeah. Well, the good news is you've got 33 more of them to watch.
Exactly. That's what I need.
Well, I don't know if that's good news or if that's like bad news. I guess it depends on how optimistic you are after we get done recording here. Maybe you'll talk yourself into more optimism, or maybe you'll talk me out of it.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah. So hey, let's just momentarily indulge in the pessimism. What what are the things that you think would be most likely to go wrong, or if you had to pick just like one thing, like what makes the whole thing fall down at the end of the year?
Um, I mean, I think our offense is going to be our downfall, like it has been for since we had Reynoso. Basically, before him, after him, all the same. We've never had a good offense. Yeboah is obviously really good, and I don't have any doubts that he's going to score for us this season. But like I was saying, like if we don't find another person and it's just Yeboah, then we're not going to produce enough. Um, we just like we weren't scoring enough goals. So we need to like put up the numbers and not be one of the lowest team. Like I just feel like we weren't scoring goals last year. We had a few games, where you win like with 5 goals, but we need to score like 2 goals to 3 goals a game.
I feel like if you score 3 goals every single match, you're probably winning the league, and you're probably winning the league by a extremely like historically sizable margin.
Yeah, I mean that's like what Columbus does and Miami does. Um, so yeah, that I
Right.
mean it is what the best teams do. Like we need to put up like at least 2 goals a game consistently because I don't think we
I
were
feel
doing
like
that last year.
the caveat being that Miami scores 2 or 3 goals a game, but then they also give up 2 or 3 goals a game because their
Right.
defense is average age like 65, about to collect retirement,
Yeah,
from
and they have
AARP.
no team chemistry.
Right. Like at one point, like Busquets was playing center back, and it's just like, oh boy.
Yeah.
Uh
Yeah,
oh.
they do give up a lot of goals.
But what's it matter if you have Messi and Suarez up front? Like, oh, we gave up 3 goals, we'll just score four. Great, wonderful. Ugh. Maybe that's what MLS needs. MLS needs to just make it extremely hard to defend and be like, no, 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 only attack.
Right.
You get 11 people on the field, but only 2 of them can be defenders from now on. It's just like
Uh-huh.
9-on-2. Oh my gosh. What would that one that would be terrible, and every single person outside the US would dunk on us for
Oh
soccer. They
yeah.
would be like constantly like just using whatever creative insults they can come up with on top of what they already throw our way anyways. But
Uh-huh.
uh let's indulge me again, Maddie. Humor me on this one. If Don Garber comes to you and says, Maddie, I've seen you at MLS All Stars. I see you on the sideline for, national team matches. You put out great player interview content. I think you know how to take this league marketing wise to the next level. What's one thing, if Don Garber gave you the keys to the kingdom, what would you do? It can be, either like marketing, it can be like changing something about the game. Like what's the one thing that you get to do to make MLS more appealing and bring in more people?
Oh man, that is a difficult question. I think we need to like I don't know anything about like the salaries or the finances behind MLS teams because that's like beyond me. And I just like I can't get into all that. But I think we need to do something to increase the amount of money that teams can spend because if we could, actually go out there and get players from international players who are good on a more consistent basis than just like Miami getting whoever they want and LAFC getting whoever they want, then like we could start to build some really good teams. But I think we've actually made pretty good progress with that. Just like over the past couple seasons, like we've come a long way. But more money would take us a lot further.
Yeah. I think my push on that would be just make transfer fees not count towards someone's salary cap. Like
Oh,
I don't, I don't know. That
yeah,
that just like it irks me that like you can sign someone who's this amazing player and it's like, oh yeah, we're gonna sign you. It's 15 million to sign this player, and we're gonna pay them because they're young, like 1.5 million a year. It's like they could
right.
be a they didn't have to be a designated player if transfer fee didn't hit. Like they're only being
Yeah.
paid 1.5 million, which is still a lot. Like I would love to be in that situation where it's like, oh, I'm only being paid 1.5 million.
Yeah, that's it. That's a good take.
Also, just makes the math easier. Like in a
Yeah,
in a salary capped league, it's just like having to parse out all the information for like what impacts their salary. Like no, just make it be their salary. It's easy
right,
math. I can do like the long like spreadsheet and just do plus equals done.
right.
I don't need all the other things. That's now it becomes a puzzle.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm with you.
Excellent. Hey, that's the MLS Now podcast. We preach common sense roster mechanics. MLS, if you're listening, you should do that. You don't even have to give us credit, but we'll
Literally.
know. Yeah, we'll know. So, Maddie, is there anything else on your mind? Like any other concerns, like good, bad, indifferent, like other topics you have in mind? Like floor's open, floor's yours right now. If there's anything else that you wanted to bring up.
No, honestly, I don't think so. This is like I mean, I wasn't able to watch the first game, so I'm only coming in with, so much information. I think I'll have a lot more to say once I watch just even one game, but like a couple games. Um, I really like am just completely unsure about the team at this point in time. And literally after Saturday, I'll have a better idea of like, okay, I think we're gonna finish here, or I think we're gonna finish here. Um, but I just want to see the team play in person, and then get an idea of like what we're gonna look like this year. And I hope that I can see like at least a couple, two or three of the new guys play, even if they're coming in off the bench, because they're gonna make a big impact on the team down the road as well.
Sorry, I said final question earlier. Now this is an actual final question. Um, when do you slam like the alarm, like the panic button? If like if things don't go well in say like next two games, are you starting to panic, or is it like you're waiting until 10 games in, like a third of the season, or you wait until like the summer window? Like where how long will your patience let you go?
Um, yeah, only a couple games is what I'm giving it. Especially with the 5 games that you listed as our upcoming games. Like in this month, if we don't have a few wins, um, then that's a problem.
Agree. I maybe I agree on that because I'm so incredibly low on teams like Salt Lake and Montreal.
Yeah.
Just actually another fun off topic out of curiosity, just to trigger some people who might be listening to this. Who do you think's finishing bottom of the West this year?
Oh gosh, I need to look at all the teams. Let me pull it up real fast because I can't even think of them all. There's so many teams now.
Yeah, it's 15. I can tell you, I don't think
15.
San Diego is finishing bottom.
Goodness, San Jose and Vancouver are number 1 and 2. That is gross. I think oh gosh, I don't know. There's too many bad teams. I think that the bottom will be like Vancouver, Kansas City, and St. Louis. One of those three.
At least
But
one person in the group chat I know agrees with you on that St. Louis pick.
St. Louis, yeah, they're I mean, what did they do? I don't know if they did anything in the offseason. Did they get anyone good?
They went big on last summer, and apparently that's when they want to go big again this year, is this summer.
They're not gonna be good.
Decisive.
Yeah, I don't think they're gonna do anything.
I picked Houston for what it's worth, and I got a lot of flack for it, which is fine. I'll take the flack if I end up being wrong.
I think they'll be down there, like for sure bottom half of the league. And probably bottom half of the bottom half.
At that point, I just put them on the bottom. Why not?
So yeah. Yeah, I don't think they'll be too great.
Fair enough. All right. Well, Maddie, I appreciate you making some time to hop on here and talk about Minnesota. I'm looking forward to hearing more of your thoughts, especially as the season goes, because
Oh
I
yeah.
think to your point, like some teams it's easy to get a read on.
Oh yeah.
Minnesota's not one of those teams.
Mm-mm.
So I'm
Yeah.
glad that I don't seem crazy and that I can't get a read at all. Like I feel like I'm vindicated in having no idea what Minnesota's going to be doing this year.
Yeah, I'll have a lot more to say in just like a couple weeks, honestly.
Yeah. Fair enough. Well, we look forward to the continued insight because you're going to know Minnesota much better than I ever will. You've forgotten more about Minnesota than I will ever learn, that's for sure.
Yeah.
So, well, once again, if you want to find Maddie on social media, I think it's Maddie. It's Maaddyy.
M A D
All too
D
late.
Y Y.
Madddy. Okay, we'll get it someday.
Krauss.
Yep. On Twitter, X, and of course, just a reminder, you can find the podcast on social media at MLS Now Podcast. That one's easy. Been practicing that one long enough. No wait, no, very few repeat letters in there. There we go. That's why it's easy.
Exactly.
So perfect. Well, with that said, then Maddie, thank you very much, and of course, listeners, thank you very much as always. With that said, let's keep an eye on Minnesota, and we'll see y'all next time.